Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pathways to Excellence. We are most honored today to have with us yet another Victor. Brother, you have no idea how strange it is to be speaking to someone has the exact same name as me. This is the smart Victor, by the way. I'm not the smart Victor. This is the smart Victor who is joining Harvard's class of 2028. Congratulations on your incredible achievements.
Well, thank you very much. But I think you have understated yourself very much there. I think I've been watching videos for the last throughout my application cycle, and for one thing, I can say you're obviously a very, very well educated and smart individual.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for watching Pathways. I'm so glad that it's been beneficial to you as well. And right now, you're basically in, well, an alternate position. You're basically one of the inspiring individuals who is basically, yeah, on the screen today. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely no worries at all. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. All right, cool. So we have so much to dive into, but at the same time, so many parallels and similarities exist right here. So of course, we're both named Victor, which of course means what you would find in the dictionary. Did you ever, by the way, like find out from your parents why you were called Victor?
I have two siblings, two older sisters, right? And we all have names that start with V. And there was first sister Victoria, second sister Valerie, and then when it came to me,
Mm.
they were about to name me Vincent, but my sister stepped in and was like, "How about Victor?" So when people meet the three of us, they go Victoria, Valerie, Victor. The two similarities is Victoria and Victor very easily. Valerie kind of gets left in between for a bit.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry, Valerie. I mean, like, honestly, like, what was the choice there, though? I mean, like, would she have been called, like, Victorina? I mean, like,
Okay, fair, but
yeah, and that being said, another similarity is that we come from the same high school. So then that is SMK Damansara Utama. And by any chance, do you know the school song still?
okay. I remembered it for when we had our prefect interviews where we had to sing it to the board to for them to give us a placement in the board of directors the next year type of thing, right? But every other time, like I remember going for a school competition and they made us sing the school song. It was like na, 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 SMKDU sekolah kami
Kami
na, na, na.
sekolah kami cintai
Yeah,
majulah bersama
that's
penuh.
a part I didn't remember it.
Well, all right, okay, cool. And while you were there, and while I was basically kind of like reading your profile right there, basically the sort of conclusion I initially came to was this guy is like a world conqueror. What kind of person joins? Okay, like it's a very normal thing for a person to join one club maybe and then become president of that particular club. To become like the president of the debate club, this house believes that we should not use "ma'am, you are a Karen," that sort of thing right there, as you had shown in an Instagram story. It's very normal for that. Like some might even call it a distinguished achievement. But my friend, your people, they love you, and undisputedly, you are not just president of essentially the debate club. In fact, like Interact Club of Damansara Utama, president, editorial board head editor, debate club president and coach, taekwondo club president instructor, badminton club president, choral speaking team founder and captain, prefectorial board. Okay, this was interesting. I don't know what to make of this right here, but like, okay, that's right. But the long story short right here was like, how? Do you have multiple forms of consciousness? Does your thought just like stream out into an infinitude of different pathways as you manage different things? Does your brain perhaps work in parallel processing while us mere mortals work in simple linear time? Like, how, Victor? How?
Well, I mean, it's none of the things that you said out there. I think it helped me a lot that the time when I was Form 5 was peak COVID era. So everything we did, all the club sessions and everything were kind of online. And I was a bad student. So during classes, for example, my teacher's teaching BM on a Google Meet, I'll be on another screen typing out the session plan for the next club meeting. So I had that privilege where I could manage my studies while doing all these club activities because I
Uh,
think it was online. But I would say another thing that really helped a lot was just having this really tight knit group of friends that all
mm.
became board members in the clubs that I were in anyway, right?
I
So
see.
I would say, trying to think of an example here. Okay, I can't think of an immediate example, but let's just say, for example, I had to do a very important task for the Interact Club. At the same time, maybe I had something to do for the editorial club. It was very easy for me. My friends were all in a very understanding situation where I would obviously prioritize the one that had the earlier deadline.
I see.
And my friends, if they were free, they were amazing. They were just like, okay, Vic, what help do you need? Just send it over to me, and once you're done, you can help me out lah. So
Wow. Okay. So yeah, like you had an incredible supportive network
yeah,
for sure, and I can definitely see that as well. I mean, like just look at like these little messages right here. One, and then basically yeah, two right there. Yeah, it's a thing. Congratulations. Yeah, like it's a thing. And I'd also incidentally mention that one thing that I found was really, really cool was the way almost that you kind of document your past. It's basically, you know, on a level that I think not many people do. And you
yeah,
document memories one after another from 24 leading up to years back. So like 18. So you've been doing this for maybe like a total of like 6 years so far. From like that storied journey basically in high school during which you had this incredible support network up to the present. Um, so I'd like to take the opportunity to then kind of ask what led you to begin documenting the years like in this fashion?
okay. So I'm not too sure when Instagram had that highlights. I think it's called highlights,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So before this, it was just like posting things when I'm out with friends, doing stupid activities, or just like having fun with my friends generally. I think I kind of had the idea when highlights came about because it seemed like a cool way of separating my life into parts, right? I kind of see a flow rather. I kind of prefer the yearly chronological way rather than just say Interact Club being one or
Mm,
club, just examples such as the football being one type of thing. Sorry,
mm.
because it kind of shows, or at least when I watch it back, because there's times when I'm bored, I was like, what did I do in 2018? It's kind of fun to see, like, oh yeah, oh shit, yeah, in this month I did this, in this month I did that. So it's like it's more for me to look back and reminisce rather than just to
Ah,
look nice type of thing.
wow. Okay. That's really cool. In line with that theme of reminiscing, maybe let's start with the question of, I guess, what was your educational background like? Like, what kinds of schools did you go to in the past as you kind of went along this journey right here?
For kindergarten, I attended Methodist kindergarten in Petaling Jaya.
Hmm.
All right, so it's you know where Catholic High School is? It's like opposite the route there,
Okay, okay.
somewhere in the housing. And that was a great place where I've made friends where that I've actually reconnected with in the last 2 to 3 weeks because we found each other's Instagram. I was like, oh, cool, okay. Uh, and then my sisters are much older than me. They're about 10 and 11 years older than me, right? So when I was in kindergarten, they were already in secondary school about to graduate.
Mm,
And they both went to all girls school, so I couldn't attend their school. That's where their friends suggested SK Superdading, also in the PJ area.
mm, mm,
And it's there where uh, one memory I remember is standard one. I absolutely hated going to school. Every single morning when I get dropped off the gate, I'll start crying. I hated going to school. But it kind of changed over time, where I would say the best years there was standard four, standard five, and standard six.
mm.
So standard four, five, six, I did like activities. I was barely in class. I was just having fun. Um, And that's where I make a lot of memories and bonds with my friends that again I'm still close with to this day. Uh, After Sen 6 UPSA, I did kind of badly for my UPSA. I got 4 A's and 2 B's. So I
Mm,
was aiming for the top boarding schools. For example, let's just say like KYS and
mm,
I applied to like SAS and CKK type of thing unknowingly because it was just like, oh yeah, let's go to schools with the names. I didn't get the scholarship for KYS. I entered. I got into Sekolah Menengah Science Selangor instead, which was like my parents didn't really want me to go, so I ended up in SMKDU Saratama. My last
mm,
choice. It was my last choice of school.
mm,
But it turned out to be again a very great experience.
mm,
Two and three, I just spent my time there, did my activities. But in Form 4, I left for Maktab Tentera Diraja, RMC.
mm,
But it only lasted for about 3 weeks when I came back to DU because one RMC was actually like pretty difficult. That's more difficult than expected. But also I felt like my academic performance would have dropped like tremendously if I stayed there.
mm.
Um, it's like it's a bit difficult to continue studying while doing all the military activities. So I salute all my friends that managed to stay there and get good results.
Wow. Okay.
But for the best because in DU I really
Mm.
found it to be my place. And thankfully, after SPM, I applied for scholarships, got Petronas, and here now I am in Davis.
Ah, I see. Wonderful. Okay, cool. And great. So I'm sure that your same friends right now are saluting you as well for eventually going to Harvard University and a bunch of different things as well. But how did people like begin reacting when you essentially got into Harvard and into the various other schools that you got into as well?
Right. So I opened most of my applications, like the results, in my dorm room. So it was surrounded by my housemates or sometimes some visitors. For example, my girlfriend would come over and we just open them together, type of thing. Uh, and I say the immediate reaction is just everybody starts screaming. Right?
Okay.
Everybody just starts screaming their lungs out. And then when it all settles down, it's like very nice to get the heartwarming words from everybody. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I would say not all of us got the universities that we were hoping to get, but even in uh let's just say like joy and also sadness, we all supported each other, congratulated each other, or told them like it's okay, there'll be other opportunities for everybody. So that's like immediately around me. Like for example, my friends from secondary school, they one of my best friends, her name is Zara. I'm not sure if she's okay with it, but uh,
Mm-hmm.
Zara, she called me because like results for Harvard, for example, came out at 7 a.m. in the morning, I think, and she didn't wake up yet. She woke up, heard the news, called me crying. Like that was like one of the greatest feelings ever. There's two best friends I have from secondary school, like really, really close. Zara and Ina. Uh, Even the day of SPM results, I couldn't wait for the teachers to give me, so I just checked on my phone. They were on the other side of the hall. I raised my hands. They came running over to hug me. So it was like they are some of the best friends that I could have. It was like really great, great memory.
Wow. Hashtag bless. Okay. And I'm sure that your parents also were kind of like over the moon as well.
Uh, yeah. Again, I kind of set expectations at our fly, so they weren't expecting they weren't
They were
expecting me like
they
crazy
they were not
brilliant.
expecting this.
Yeah, no.
It's not something that any reasonable human being I think would expect, but you did it, buddy. How, I guess, like, did it feel? Because like that's a very recent memory, right? I think it happened maybe about like a week ago, thereabouts,
Yeah,
that you got to Harvard.
it's obviously a very, very surreal feeling because on the day, honestly, my dream school was UCLA, right?
Uh-huh.
UCLA has been my dream school since I was like 12, and that was all I was targeting for in this application cycle.
And you got your dream school. I saw that Instagram
Yeah.
story.
So I got my dream school, so I was kind of in the position where I was like, okay, I'm chill. I don't have to worry too much. Um, and on the day of Ivy Day, I opened Berkeley. Okay, I got into Berkeley. So I was like, oh, cool, yay. I opened NYU. I got waitlisted. I got rejected from Yale. and then I got rejected from Brown. Brown was the school I put the most effort into, so I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not getting into any of these. I
Yeah.
opened UPenn, got waitlisted. Waitlisted was already a surprise to me. And then the last thing I clicked that morning was Harvard. Saw the video popped up. I went running around my house. Like it was like a really surreal feeling. But sorry, if I might add for a second that you say oh, hopefully I will be Harvard bound, but my sponsors Petronas are still deciding between Harvard and another university that I got, Stanford. So it's still up in the air.
Ah, I see, I see. Oh, well, congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
So like, is there still a chance that you might essentially go back to your old dream and then be all like, oh, okay, I will go to UCLA, like no matter what. Is that a possibility?
Um, if it were up to me, it would be between Harvard and UCLA. But
I
my
see.
sponsors they have the final say. So as my current conversation with them, they are currently between Harvard and Stanford.
Ah, congratulations. Wow. So like
Thank you.
basically it's yeah, a possibility that you could become classmates with like Sarah Ryan, or you could be part of the Harvard community, I guess. Um great. So I guess like right now, knowing that immediate possibility, right, of either going to Harvard or Stanford, both incredible schools in their own right. So then I guess well you would, I guess, be edging towards Harvard then in that case.
Yeah, I'll be edging towards Harvard because I feel I'm more of a liberal arts kid rather than the techie of Stanford.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
Well, first, like, in Stanford, there's also the fuzzy as well, like, like the
yeah.
techie, the fuzzy, that sort of thing right there. Will you, I guess, share a little bit with me, right, about what led you to want to apply to the US in the first place? And in particular, also to, I guess, like Harvard and UCLA, like what parts of, I guess, like your dream do you feel that these schools could potentially fulfill at the
All
time?
right. So I'll start with let's compare the UK and the US, which was the two countries that I applied to. I'll be very honest with you. I did not put much effort into my UK application,
Mm,
and that's kind of because I didn't like the UK mainstream. That's kind of what you're going to do. You apply for chemical engineering, you're going to do chemical engineering type of thing, right?
mm,
I feel like that's kind of what Malaysia has been doing. I have done SPM, now doing A levels. I feel all I do is absorb information and vomit it onto a page when the time comes, right? So I kind of got bored with that, and that's where I started looking into the US education, where maybe, for example, schools have general education requirements. You don't really, for example, Harvard, you don't select the concentration until your second year,
mm,
and those type of things really intrigued me, and it felt like a opportunity to like broaden my horizons. So
mm,
not like
mm,
get stuck with one thing that I probably won't like in the future. Well, I have to do this for 4 years,
mm.
some sort of academic freedom in that
I
sense.
see. Cool,
Right?
cool.
So let's start with why UCLA. Why UCLA? It's Los Angeles, bro. I think it's a lot of it is pop culture. UCLA was like a pop culture application that I just wanted to go to because it's cool, that has the culture, it has
I see.
fun, but it's also one of the top academic schools in the world, right?
Can you think of like any specific pop culture things that like you really enjoy or that you like?
I think my favorite pop culture thing, like, or something I want to experience. My favorite TV show of all time is How I Met Your Mother. Right, I've watched the entire series, season 1 to season 9, probably about 20 times. I literally put it on to fall asleep. It's that like ingrained into my head type of thing. Um, I think one thing I really want to experience is going to the McLaren's pub, like the real pub in New York, and like just being in I know it's like a cliche, but like being in New York, walking around, experiencing things, that's something what I know probably will not reach expectations. It's still something I would explore.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow, that's great. If I could jump in here for a moment, there's another interesting parallel to be made right here between yourself and one Nicholas Carr, who is head of Kazana Research, and the other kid who got to Harvard from SMK Damansara Utama, who also went to the US for pop culture reasons and pop culture reasons primarily. Have you met him before, incidentally?
Nicholas?
Yes.
Yes, he was my Harvard interviewer. Yeah.
But okay, before we get into that, so tell me, so like, why Harvard? Like, how does that, I guess, fulfill part of your dream?
Okay, why Harvard? I'll tell you how I went through the application cycle. I talked about having this academic freedom, and that's why I think I was attracted to Brown mostly for its open curriculum and stuff. And while doing these applications, I looked at the Brown essays, and then I was like, let's search up Harvard for fun. Looked at Harvard essays, they were like, oh, they're actually pretty similar. So I just sent an application. I had a fee waiver, so I sent in an application, and only after sending the application did I actually do more research about Harvard, and that's where it kind of intrigued me as well. Like, let's put aside all the name brand things about Harvard and just look at from a like educational, academic, and also extracurricular standpoint. From the academic, it the liberal arts really intrigued me because again, it's maybe not as much freedom as, for example, Brown, but it's still a lot more freedom than a lot of universities that you will be attending, especially if you would take compare with the UK. And
Mm,
from extracurricular standpoint, there seemed to be a lot of things I felt interested in. For example, the debating club, I will probably continue debating if I'll
mm,
be at Harvard. And from a sports standpoint, it seemed like a there's a school with school spirit, but it's not too over the top type of thing.
mm,
Intriguing environment where you meet people from all walks of life, and it's something again I never thought I would get in, so I wasn't considering it. But now that I had the opportunity of getting in,
mm.
it's a one in a lifetime opportunity that I don't think I can give up.
I see, definitely. One other aspect of, I guess, getting into Harvard is naturally the prestige. It's kind of like a hack in a sense, right? Like if you go up to somebody and basically they know of you, kind of thing right there, and it is known to them that you are a Harvard student or graduate, it's basically like a hack. Like they would immediately think, oh my God, like this guy is a genius. But I guess like how are you kind of like handling that, I guess like at the moment?
Um, at the moment, I think I'm just grateful I got in
Mm,
because let's talk about A levels. My academic performance in A levels has not been the best. My first semester exams, I got two A's and then two D's, like donkeys.
mm,
And from there, I just wanted to meet my Petrus requirements and fly. That was like the goal.
right. Mm-hmm.
So I, I don't feel that level of prestige where people just quickly assume that you're really smart because I think I am not. I am not the smartest person in the room. I never have been since secondary school, and I don't think I ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
But I take this opportunity as maybe I still have the perception that everybody at Harvard is obviously insanely smart, like the top of their class, 4 A stars, 45 IB, that was thing. And
Mm-hmm.
get the opportunity to go and meet people, to go and learn from
Mm,
them, maybe their study techniques and how they manage their time from studying and also having fun and doing extracurriculars.
mm,
So I go into this with kind of an open mind, and I try not to set any, because I feel like
mm,
a certain pressure that comes with that, oh, the prestige of being a Harvard student. I
mm.
try to forget all of that because I don't really want that pressure on me.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and of course, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's like a very understated aspect of I guess college admissions. Like a lot of people, they would think that like you would have to basically pioneer a mission to the International Space Station, or basically like spearhead an underwater cave rescue, invent a minimum of 15 new medicines that will save the entire world, or maybe yeah, sell $15 million worth of JD shoes, as I was telling you earlier. So these shoes that I was wearing this morning are from JD Sports. So it's yeah, just one of the various roles that you've essentially occupied. But I'd like to move into then a question of, I guess, what do you feel was the thing that was driving you, or essentially pushing you in a bunch of different ways? Because like even if you try to soften the blow, right, of like saying, oh, I was only president because I had many people essentially supporting me. Oh, I'm not the smartest person in the room, never have been, never will be. The fact remains essentially that there was something about you right there, a je ne sais quoi, we should say, that isn't always clear, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe you have like some thoughts on that. But I guess maybe let's start with motivation for a quick bit. Like, what do you feel is, I guess, pushing you on?
Pushing me on. That's a really good question, I think. Okay, let's start from secondary school. What was pushing me on was to get a scholarship, right? I just I did all those activities. This is something I learned later on, especially throughout this application cycle. I did all those activities because I wanted a scholarship. A lot of them were for fun. I had a lot of fun in them, but a lot of them were just like to boost my CV.
Mm,
I studied, and it's also because I knew I wasn't the smartest kid in the room. I was never going to get the 9A plus for SPM type of thing, and I was just trying to do my best there. Um, and then let's lead on into Taylor's, where surprise, surprise, I'm put into a room with the top top 200 people in Malaysia for my batch, right? Academic wise, type of thing. And
mm,
from being above average, where I could get good results but not the best, to being in the bottom half, I would say. What kept me going at this point was still I just want to meet my Petronas requirements and fly overseas.
ah, I
So
see. Okay.
I just
Mm,
continued studying, but when after AS it came time to apply, I think the motivational shift changed. The motivational shift changed to what do I want to do, right? So
mm,
it became what are the activities that actually mean the most to me? Because filling out the activity list is not the 10 most wow things that you can put. It's the 10 things that mean the most to you,
mm,
right?
mm, mm,
Uh, it kind of made me think like what 10 things actually mean the most to me. Writing the
mm,
essay is like what 10 for example, what 10 things is the most important to me to write into essays that was sent off to the top universities in the world. It became this thing where I actually had to think about my actions, rather than just go 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 type of thing.
mm,
And I think that pushes me now into my A2 and also university. A2, obviously, I'm still hoping for the best, trying to get the best results. But what pushes me is like, this is what I want to do. I'm interested in this, so I'll try to
mm,
do my best. And even in
mm.
university, I will try to do my best, experience all that I can, do the activities I enjoy, and not try to satisfy anybody just because oh it looks cool type of thing.
But I guess like when you went into that sort of, well, reflection process, did you feel maybe that there was some sort of pattern in the sense that like sometimes, right, we undertake certain things that seem, well, unconsciously motivated, so to
Yeah.
speak. When you started reflecting on some of these things, then I guess how did they start, shall we say, playing into the narrative that you decided to start telling about, well, your life, or like the different things that you decided to present when you were applying for colleges, or like the different things that you decided to present when you were applying for colleges?
I tend to be attracted to the ideas, for example, community building. So let's take, for example, my three top common app activities. I think I put was my Interact Club, Project ID, which was like a social NGO, and my third was being an MC starting from secondary school until now, right? So in
Mm,
all three of those experiences, I realized like, oh, through Interact Club, we made the school. school. Let's just say, for example, we had this for Teachers' Day celebration. We went around school giving flowers and cupcakes to the teachers. It gave them a smile, right? I
Mm,
feel like that was one of the more heartwarming things.
mm,
Through Project ID, uh, one of my internship tasks was like to build this online platform for students across Malaysia to communicate and just like share educational thoughts, share recipes if they wanted to, type of thing. And that also seemed like, oh, it's actually a really cool thing where me and my friend who I interned with, we were testing it out, typing messages to each other. It was like, yeah, this is like really, really fun. And I can see the possible explorations for it. And the last thing would probably be as an MC, right? So as an
mm,
MC, uh, on the stage, I'm guiding a narrative, making people laugh, having fun,
mm,
doing the motions. But I think the best part is after the events, right? After I finish emceeing, I step on stage, I go meet people, and from there, I've met, for example, uh, a teacher that's been teaching in rural areas of Pahang. Um, not really the primarily from emceeing, but I also met a refugee from Afghanistan, that sort of thing.
mm,
So these are just stories that you wouldn't get anywhere else. Like it's the most
mm,
man-to-man interaction where I feel it guided my application not only from my activity list but from my essay standpoint as well. For example,
mm,
like the diversity, I always talked about the community building or how
mm.
would you help the community at so and so university. I got all these ideas because of past experiences that I unknowingly got myself into.
I see. Okay then. Wonderful. Well, when you wrote, I guess, like those essays that you wrote for, let's say, Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, I guess, like, do you have any immediate favorites? I think you mentioned in a message to me earlier that like you wrote one about being a banana, amongst other things. Perhaps that could be something that you could share.
Yeah, so I think there's two favorites. The first would be the one about me being a banana, and the second would be about like an MCing journey, right?
I
So I'll
see.
start with the banana.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yellow on the outside and white on the inside. Sorry to
right.
jump in there. Right. Sorry. Yes, if you could.
It talks about me not understanding my grandparents because my grandparents
Uh,
speak in Chinese, right?
mm,
Their English is like my Cantonese, really, really broken and has a low bar type of thing,
mhm,
right? But I talk about from there, I kind of learned communication beyond oral language, right? So, for example, my grandmother has taught me how to cook Cantonese cuisine. Literally, she pointed at stuff and she's like, okay, I go take, I follow. Right? It's just hand gestures. And my grandfather, again, can't talk to him, but he taught me how to drive a manual car, right?
Wow.
He just tell me he would see lift his foot, then he would make gestures that the car is shaking, then he thumbs up and he let go. And he just drive. Right? So to everybody else it's like completely stupid and like how do you understand that? But to us, it's kind of like this dance you could say that we kind of understand each other to a certain extent. I won't say it's perfect, it's definitely not perfect at all. But it works.
Just from listening to that as a first time listener to that story, that actually sounds like legit dangerous. It's like then like for all you know that you start like pressing down on the accelerator as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Well,
Actually now thinking about it, yeah, it could be like that. Right.
okay. Um, all right then. I guess like what was the um message I guess that you were trying to communicate there about I guess like not understanding your I guess like grandparents at the time.
Yeah, so the message it started with that like that story and it kind of led into my activities of trying to build a connection. So for example, the Interact Club, I'll keep it in school, for example. We had we hosted Serotonin Day, which was just like this way for our friends to send messages to one another, like heartwarming messages. It could be anonymous, it could be by sending them a gift type of thing through the Interact Club. And that tradition is kind of carried on in the school now.
Mm-hmm.
We're still doing it. Uh, so I talked about how I can. It was mostly for the contribute to the university thing. I talked about how I can contribute to the university, like being this middleman to foster either academic relationships or just like relationships in the dorm room type of thing. And it became one of my favorites because it's like the funniest and the ones that probably has stuck with me for the longest time.
I see. Incredible. Cool, cool, cool.
The other favorite would be about me. This is for the UCs. So the UCs, one of
Mm.
the questions is like talk about a talent that you have and how you build it over time.
Oh,
I
okay.
talked about MC. So
Mm.
as an MC, I talked about the first time I absolutely flopped. I had a script, my senior gave it to me, and I flopped. But I followed in his footsteps. He took me on events and stuff, and also just in school, he'll give me the opportunities to go and MC, for example, perhimpunan pagi type of thing.
Mm.
Uh, and that's where I kind of built the confidence to MC, where now I don't really need a script. I can just go up stage and figure things out on the along the way. So
Mm.
that's like one of my favorite things to do. And I
Mm.
talked about it earlier how it's the after event things that lead to the great experiences being MC,
Mm.
talking to people. So I again kind of tied it back into how from learning from all these experiences, I understand the worldview better, people better, that kind of thing, and how I can I'll be a better fit at this university, that was thing.
Mm. 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 Okay, wonderful. I guess if you were to think about your personality, right? You know, like some people like, they like MBTI. I'm not sure if like you've done that
Yeah.
test before. Oh, you have. Oh, okay. Just curious, but like what is your MBTI type?
Uh, I kind of forgot it because it was like a long time ago, but I know it's extrovert.
Definitely an E, 100% an
That's
E.
the E, but then like the rest I kind of forgot.
Could you be an ENTJ? I wonder. The ENTJ basically is like the CEO personality type. Like this is what I would say right there. But at the same time, like I feel maybe I'm not sure.
Okay, what I remember is like the characters I got at the end. I think I did the test once or twice. I got debater and politician.
Ah, the debater. Your personality type is the same as mine. You are the ENTP, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Interesting. Wow.
But I think the politician is the latest test.
The latest test. Wow, interesting. Are you? Well, this is an interesting transition. Is politician one of your future maybe like career aspirations?
I feel more closely to the debater rather than the politician.
Right. Okay. So debate actually has been a huge part of your high school and also Taylor's life as
Yeah.
well. May I ask you, like, well, what drew you towards debate in the first place? And yeah, maybe you can like go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, so I think it's also it's part of my application. I think it's slightly into my personal statement. I prefer not to go too deep into it, but it kind of started because my sisters did debate when they were in secondary school. So when I joined, I was like, yeah, it's the thing I'll do. Right. And I like speaking, the E, and DU has a pretty strong debate scene.
Mm-hmm.
So when they made an announcement on stage, like the first few weeks of school, I was like, yeah, let's go do it. And it kind of stuck with me until Form 5. Uh, but it kind of became this thing where I just continuously did rather than enjoying it
Mm,
until a certain realization hit in my head. And then only I changed to remain competitive in debate, not only just like winning competitions and stuff, but also
mm,
to like explore a more assertive person in me type of thing.
Explore a more assertive person inside you. Okay. I'm not sure when the last time you actually read the description of MBTI types was right here, and so I'm going to go right ahead and put something on the screen, and then you can see if this agrees, and if it does agree, then to what extent it agrees with, I guess, like how you view or otherwise see the world, maybe. Let's go. What do you
Uh,
think?
let's go with it. Yeah, I think from what like this short blurb, it it does hit pretty hard with me, right? I feel like I do resonate with the not afraid. to just like
Mhm.
to stand up and talk to somebody, right? But I think that's also become a skill that I've improved on over time. Not just like arguing for the sake of arguing, but actually arguing to get to a conclusion type of thing.
Mm-mm-mm. I see. Okay.
But to me, the simple, they have an offbeat, contrary idea of fun. I don't really think that is true. I think a lot of the fun that I do is pretty generic, like going out with friends, football type of thing.
I see. Got you, got you. All right, that is interesting to see right there. ENTP. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I technically have the same personality type right there. I actually do remember taking this test a while ago, but it changed actually from ENFP and stuff. But who knows how your personality type is going to change in the future. When you think then about what you feel your not to say like what got you selected for Harvard, but if you were to speculate what you would consider like some strengths maybe that were articulated or that well seem evident to the people around you, what would you say that like some of those strengths might be?
Okay, so if you're talking about specifically the Harvard application, I think I didn't have like the specific spike. Right,
Mm,
again, reading through application videos, like learning how to do them. Some people are Malaysian swimmers type of thing, or the world class in a certain thing. I don't think I had that certain activity. I
mm,
had definitely a more well-rounded activity, mixture of community service, sports, debate,
mm,
etc., etc., etc. And I feel like my essays, while strong, I don't think they are crazy exceptional type of thing. I'm not sure how much the interview plays in the admissions process, but I feel
oh,
like my interview was relatively strong. It started
oh.
off basic, and then I just went with the yeah, this is not high anything. Went to the hard truth with them, and I think after that, that's where we had like a proper deep conversation. If possible, I prefer not to go into it, but it was like very interesting from then on there.
I see. Okay. So sidestepping the content part, feel free to tell me later if you're interested, or if willing in the first place. But I guess you spoke to Nicholas Carr, right?
Yeah. And Nadia.
Nicholas Carr and Nadia. Oh, interesting. Wow. Incidentally, like, did you watch that video featuring Nicholas Carr on this channel a while ago? I see. Okay. Eliza was preparing for her interview with that, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
okay.
did that as
You did
well.
that as well. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I guess when you kind of move forward, then beyond, I guess, like the immediate thought really about personality or a bunch of different things right here, given this rare opportunity that you do have to pursue an education at some of the world's top universities, it seems like the world is like kind of like an interesting blank slate ahead. How do you feel about well the chance at the moment to go forward into some of these like universities at the moment, and do you have a thought on like what some things you might want to study there might be? I guess Victor, so like well, of course, like your major might be something well decided upon at a later point, but as you go into either Harvard or Stanford, both incredible universities in their own right. So, like, are there any particular things that you feel like you'd like to explore that maybe might have been hard for you to explore back home?
In Malaysia, we were kind of like streamlined into certain fields. So in secondary school, I entered science stream, but swapped out bio for accounts. And yeah, you're kind of stuck in that line. And when you're applying for scholarships, you also have a quite limited array of scholarships and what majors you can apply for. But personally speaking, I like the intersection between engineering, economics, public policy, sociology type of thing. While
Wow.
it might seem like a really mixed bag, um, I kind of look at these as different parts of helping society. So engineering would probably be like the glue holding things together,
Mm-hmm.
creating and creating the actual technical product. Econ's like a measuring tape of sorts. like how can we make sure the resources are allocated properly? How can we make sure that this is the it's equitable distribution to everybody type of thing. Policy and sociology, I would say, is like the pencils guiding and incentivizing real world application, right?
Mm.
So as a combination of all these things, as I look forward to studying university, I think I would want to go down the energy environment route, but not so much on the technical side of things. So on the technical side of things, I don't think I have the mental capacity for it.
Mm.
But I do want to explore the other three things I mentioned. And
Mm.
if possible, again, when I come back to Malaysia, I'll be bonded with Petronas for at least 5 years.
Mm.
So it seems like a great opportunity to look into this energy and environment thing where Petronas is taking the next step forward,
Mm.
getting away from, for example, fossil fuels and stuff.
Mm. I see. Cool. Mm, well, that's going to be a while away, and of course, that is going to be a talking point, for sure. I guess like when you get to either Harvard or Stanford, depending on what happens along the way right there, I guess like do you have like any immediate goals for your time there?
Immediate
Like things
goals.
that you want to do like straight away. I mean, like Eliza is like, oh, I want to eat fried chicken. But yeah, like it can be anything, like that you can immediately think about.
Okay, I think there's two things. First would probably be to just travel around America, because
Wow. Mhm.
obviously America is a massive, massive, massive country. So so many different things to do. I have friends that are spread across the entire nation. It would just be fun to go and meet up over there and explore new
Mm.
things compared to like I mean cool. I'm interested in exploring winter because Malaysia is just hot. It's just hot, right?
It's just hot.
Yeah, and I
Five
think the
minutes walking is
second
5 minutes too long.
oh yeah, it's too long, too long. And then the second most immediate thing is probably to understand Fahrenheit, inches, and ounces and gallons. That is like one thing I want to understand finally.
Moving, I guess, like towards the Malaysia thing. Okay, so a very common question that is asked to students who essentially go on to like essentially any top university, like for example, it could be like Harvard, for example, or Stanford in your case right here. Or it could be like say Yale, Princeton, MIT, Dartmouth, blah 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 blah, right there. In the comment sections, you will inevitably see stuff like "Come back to Malaysia and contribute your talents to our country," or something of that nature. As a bonded student, of course, well, you do have an obligation to come back right there. But I guess like how do you feel about, I guess, like that part of the future in the sense of like, do you feel that um there will be in time, right, the chance to fully express, shall we say, the skills, the talents, the capabilities, the different things that you are going to be learning at school, right, in a Malaysian context, in your opinion? Or what would need to happen in order to make it possible so that those the very best that you can get in America, which is what you're going to be getting, right, can be most fully expressed in our nation.
Yeah, so I think like speaking about Malaysia, I definitely no
Mm.
matter how much we talk bad about it sometimes like, oh my god, it's so hot, right? It's still home. When I feel like when I'm experiencing cold weather, I'll still say like, oh Malaysia, I miss the hot and things like that. But talking from like a standpoint of where will Malaysia ever be at the forefront of things? I again I can't say for certain, but I think some things that can be done is steps that Malaysia are already taking. For example, I think scholarships in general in Malaysia are very widely let's just say talked about, right? And they sponsor many students to go overseas. So and having them bonded, bringing them back to Malaysia, all these credible individuals. It's already something you can notice that's helping the country. Let's talk
Mm.
about Petronas board of directors. My friends and I were going through it, and if I'm not mistaken, it was only one person that was not a Petronas sponsored student,
Mm,
right? So it shows that the people that they look for at a young age, sponsor them, do go on to help the country and the company in tremendous ways. So I
mm,
think Malaysia's greatest assets is people, right? So Malaysia, yes, we used to be this tin farm type of thing. Those are things to look in the past. Now the people of Malaysia are all incredibly talented. Our education system, while might have some of its flaws sometimes, it's actually very competitive, you could say. It's like a very in detail education system, at least for until a secondary level. And universities in Malaysia are also really good. For example, University Malaya. Depending on these individuals in the future, I think it's like Malaysia's best course of action right now. I can't say, for example, infrastructure wise or anything. I'm not too well educated on that. But having met the people that I know that will be continuing their studies overseas, or even like adults that have continued their studies overseas or in Malaysia, they're all very impressive individuals. And given the opportunity in this country, they would definitely
mm.
want to help it.
I
I think
see.
that's the problem where some people tend to leave the country and work because of the lack of opportunities in Malaysia. If
Mm,
that one thing can be changed, I think it will be amazing and Malaysia can reach to that level.
I see. Okay, cool. Kind of moving towards the end of this conversation, and thank you so much for your time thus far. So, if you were to give some maybe words of advice to people who would be interested in walking in the same path that maybe you are walking right now, although in a slightly different context, because obviously they can't be you, like they'll be themselves maybe. But what kind of advice would you want to give to them?
I think the one advice I would give them is do things for you instead of because, for example, you want the validation from somebody or you want the uh, like the applause that comes with, for example, getting good results and stuff. That's not really doing it for you. Try to
Mm,
find the things that you enjoy doing, whether it be both academic and also extracurricular wise, and if see if it's a viable option for you to explore. Um, Obviously, I can't say that for everybody. Maybe some people have certain obligations they have to follow, but
mm,
if there's one thing I believe is you can try to be yourself as much as you want, but when you need a helping hand, just reach out to anybody. Reach out to
mm,
your friends, your family, or just like random people. And I feel most humans have it in their heart to just help somebody when they're in need, and
mm.
things will just get better.
All right. Well, I would quote Kamina from Gurren Lagann in saying, if ever you cannot believe in yourself, then believe in the me who believes in you, or something of that nature. All right then, cool. So, do you have any, well, projects, thoughts, ideas, or things that you want to share with the audience as well?
Um, whoa, oh, I
It's,
was not expecting that. Right.
it's deliberately quite broad, I guess. Like, so it could be anything, right? Like, it could be, what was that? Like, yeah, I want to become, Prime Minister of Japan in the future, or something of that nature. Or, yeah, in 20 years' time, Petronas will be selling nuclear energy. No, of course, no, no, that's obviously a joke. But yeah, like it can be anything, like any endeavor, cause that you want, people to be aware of, idea, thought.
Off the top of my head, no, but I just want to wish everybody Selamat Hari Raya, and obviously take everything I say with a grain of salt because that's my experiences, and you all have your own. So, and I just want to say thank you, Victor. Oh, so weird saying my name in the third person. Thank you, Victor, for this opportunity to be interviewed.
Thank you, Victor, for being on this interview, and best of luck at Harvard, Stanford, whatever it is right there. Habibi, you are going to conquer it. All right. Thank you so much.